Now, do you think it's sensational to say that tourists shouldn't go to these cities? I mean, in the past, in the cities that you're mentioning now, we actually didn't see another attack after the initial attacks. And like you said, in New York, it took 4 years for the industry to recover. Should we be encouraging tourists to go to these cities?
Well, I think one should be cautious because, I mean, you said that they kind of like don't go back, but that if you take Paris, in January we had the first attack, and then a few months later, 10 months later, a second one, which was much bigger scale. So, it's a difficult thing to manage because from these destinations, what they keep on saying is, well, we're going to continue as if these attacks don't take place. But in the mindset of a tourist, it doesn't work that way. We saw, and I mean, there are so many examples of how long it takes for tourists to be convinced that these attacks won't happen, and I'm fairly safe with these destinations. That's why I think that this, and again, this is what history tells us, that a country like South Africa and like many other developing countries benefited, although it's not always nice to say that, but I mean, that is what happened. We benefited from these attacks in the past.
Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that, and again, take South Africa. South Africa is generally seen as a high safety risk. I mean, it's been promoted that way in many destinations. They say don't go to South Africa, there's a high safety risk. Although our statistics show that we've increased travel to South Africa, the perception of what is a high safety risk destination has changed. Remember, previously it was the probability of being maybe mugged or attacked somehow. But this is a different case or scenario altogether. Here you sit in a restaurant and a person comes in with a bomb and just blows everyone to pieces. That's a different scenario to being, mugged or robbed. So I think that is changing the perception of what is an unsafe destination. And if I can just add to that, regardless of the fact, and again I want to take South Africa, regardless of the fact that we've been branded by many people or many places as an unsafe destination, we still grow. And the most important thing is that our post surveys, and what I mean by that is the exit surveys, as people leave the airport, going back to their home countries, show that they didn't feel unsafe. They didn't feel threatened in South Africa. In fact, they had a wonderful experience. So I think that gives us an opportunity, to grow our tourism sector.
So are you saying South Africa and other developing countries should start to expect a boom and maybe expect the kind of tourists who wouldn't usually come to South Africa or a developing country to start considering us as a hotspot?
I think so. As I said again, and the reason why I say that is because we've seen that in the past happening. So my forecast is that this will continue. And I mean, I just recently came back from Italy, and at OR Tambo, if you enter the country and you go through the customs, the South African passport holders were only a few of us. Whilst if you look at the international passport holders, there were queues. So that to me is a good indication that I think we're going to see a steady increase in travel to South Africa.